Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is our Friday news dump, the episode where we cover all the news before the weekend so you don't have to worry about it. You know everything that's going on and anything that needs to be going on, and you can have a blissfully free, relaxing weekend. This is Before Coffee, the father and daughter comprehensive news of Planet Earth podcast, where we look up our stories 10 to 15 minutes before we've started the show, and we haven't had any caffeine. So if we seem a little delirious, it's just because we're ready to sleep all weekend. Let's get into the headlines for today. Today on Before Coffee, the battle for European batteries, time for us to become the copycats. And child protection or censorship, the legal battle between the Court of Justice of the EU and Hungary.
And happy Friday from the States, where we are going to talk about the China tests its fastest high-speed train and Planetary parade tonight.
Background brief, the train accident that could crash Greece's government.
Also, we remember soul singer Roberta Flack, who passed away earlier this week.
Japanese woman under investigation for kissing BTS's Jin.
And it's National Public Sleep Day, so I'm sorry. National Day, February 28th, the last day of February 2020 on Before Coffee.
Everyone's already ready to go to sleep, and we have only just started the show. Right, let's go ahead and go to our wheel of segues here. So we know what we're doing. What are we doing? What are we doing here? Roll the wheel.
We are ruining the news for you. That's what we're doing.
I don't know, the news is already ruined. We're just telling you what's going on.
Right.
All right, we have a personal story coming after this
tough one.
EU news. So let's hope you have some news about batteries or something.
This is always the toughest one. Yeah.
All right. First story is coming off of NOS, the battle for the European batteries. The European industry is struggling. Yesterday, the European Commission presented a plan to change this and to give a boost to innovations. The Clean Industrial Deal. The battery industry is also being looked at. Why is Europe unable to produce its own batteries, and what should be done instead? Remember that Europe is just getting started. Experts point out a large part of Northvolt's batteries were initially so bad that they had to go straight to the recycling department. And that's not surprising, says economist Frederick Eriksons, founder of the European Center for International Political Economy in Brussels. I have a piece of hair directly on my nose, and it's tickling my nose. Big Chinese manufacturers start much earlier. They have had to make huge adjustments over the years and have managed to beat the competition in the meantime. Yeah, if anyone was alive during the big Chinese industrial boom, you have to remember that a lot of people are like, don't trust that, it's Chinese, it might blow up. And people were really believing that stuff because they were just getting started, just like the European battery market is just getting started. And batteries are not that easy to make, as I'm sure.
No.
Well, you taught me about how batteries work, and they're very dangerous. They're very dangerous, right? Especially lithium batteries.
Yep.
There's explosions in a box. In China, Japan.
They used to be way more volatile. Anyway, yeah.
You had to keep them in packaging so that if they exploded, you didn't burn down your face. In China, Japan, and South Korea, companies have been working for decades to make batteries at increasingly efficient scales. In Japan, Sony's Walkman, released in 1979, was the catalyst for the battery industry. In China, it started with electric bicycles. They needed batteries too. The knowledge gained was used for new types of batteries, from the Walkman to the electric car. Another disadvantage for Europe is that energy is relatively expensive there, which makes battery production more expensive. How are we going to charge these batteries if it costs us an arm and a leg to make one? Chinese and American governments are giving more targeted subsidies to battery companies, says Vasilios Rizos, a circular economy researcher at the Center for European Policy Studies in Brussels. The U.S. Inflation Reduction Act of former President Biden has given a boost for battery factories in the U.S. China is known for its government support for various sectors, including battery manufacturers. Rizzo says, this makes it very difficult for European battery manufacturers to compete, because our batteries are becoming more expensive than the Chinese and American versions. Another factor is that China is a huge internal market. Yeah, it's I think it is the largest population in the world, so, if not the second. If the government decides that the traditional gasoline cars are out of the question by 2035, then companies, researchers, and consumers will adjust their behavior accordingly. As a result, most electric cars are sold in China. How then can a European battery sector be set up? According to many economists, it is important that EU sticks to the ambitious sustainability goals. Lower ambitions lead to less confidence in investment in modern, clean battery sector. In the long term, it is both ecologically and economically harmful to make batteries without regard for nature and people, says Rizos. Another thing that needs to happen, according to the experts, throw money at the problem, which is something Europeans do not do if we want to create a homogenous belief here. A lot of European countries do not believe in this throw money at the problem thing, and it's very hard to get that money out of your tax dollars into the problem. People will, hey, you can't do that. In other words, invest a lot of money. The start has been made. The European Investment Bank is going to invest 3 billion euros in the European car batteries in EU funds. European companies should accept that manufacturers in Asia are just further along and take advantage of that, says Amrish Rito, an energy consultant affiliated with The Hague think tank HCSS. Why can't we become the copycats of China and Japan? Invent companies to come and produce with us, as they did so cleverly in the 1980s. Because you guys have too much pride. Europeans always going, we invented this, we invented civilized society, when other countries have had that stuff, but they didn't make it about them. They didn't make it about, we invented this. I mean, even Japan, which has the strongest animation industry in the world, went to the Americas, right? Went to the United States, went to Hollywood and said, how do you guys do your animation? That's really cool. Let me learn some stuff from this. Because originally, Japanese animation was done with blocks. Just like, like a stamp. You make block prints. So, and they learned some new stuff from Disney, for example. And now they're the most successful industry. So learning from others is actually a great way to get better. Who would have thought? And this is already happening. According to Rito, it needs to be better. Set clear conditions for the EU. That foreign companies must have a certain share of European suppliers. They must train Europeans in running factories. That intellectual property rights are shared with European partners. This way, Europe could set up an innovative battery industry. So that's the plan for the EU on batteries and trying to create a battery industry. I know the UK is also trying to get in that grift because they're building a lot of battery factories in the UK. The UK has always tried to be an industrial hub. I mean, like, you've got cities like Manchester, I think, and Birmingham, very big industrial hubs. Yeah. Sheffield as well. But as the economy moved less towards working and more towards service, those factories got shut down, and the same thing happened in Detroit, in America, right? We just moved all those factories to Mexico. Go work at the local McDonald's instead, where you won't get paid and people will tell you need to get a real job. Like, all the factories didn't shut down. Like, all the factories didn't. Like, people don't realize this, right? That the industry of working people moved from making stuff to serving people. Like, I don't know, 20 decades ago. Sure. 2 decades ago.
UK for sure. UK doesn't make anything anymore.
Yeah, that's why they're trying to reopen the factories, because they're like, wait a minute, we're relying on a lot of people for stuff. We probably should have some self-investment, maybe. Nobody's going to care about you if all you have for your export is service workers, Unfortunately, that's how our economy works. In more European news, unless you have a personal story about batteries.
I do, but can wait.
Okay. We're going to talk about Hungary and being anti-LGBT in the EU, which is actually pro-LGBT. So, how's that working out for them? Not very well. This is from Julian Gomez on Euronews. Necessary for some, discriminatory for others, Hungary's so-called child protection law, which is what they always do. Think about the children! The children aren't thinking about gay people. You're thinking about gay people. Children don't care. Has been the subject of the hearing of Court of Justice of the European Union. Whatever its nature, the ruling could further determine the already tense relationship between Hungary and its EU partners. Just let them join Russia. Just go over there, Hungary. Just be part of Russia. And they don't want to let them go, right? They don't want Russia to gain any more grounds. But the legal text restricts minors' access to books, films, and cultural products that promote or portray the deviation of identity with respect to the sex at birth, gender reassignment, or homosexuality. Let's not learn about anything different, shall we? It also limits sex education in schools, and only government-approved instructors can teach the subject. Don't have sex, kids. All right, that's the lesson. Bye. Hope this doesn't cause you any trauma later when you don't know. Yeah, when you don't know how your body works. The Hungarian executive states that it seeks to protect children from pedophilia and amoral content. I guess. Morality argument. What is morality? It's subjective. Prime Minister Viktor Orban has repeatedly said that only parents can decide about the sexual education of their children. Okay, so if I give my child a book on gay marriage, am I going to get arrested though? I'm choosing as a parent. No? 2 years after its approval, books with LGBTQ references were removed from bookstores. See, that's the difference. If it was like removed from public libraries, okay, whatever. That's a government-owned building, tax dollars, blah, blah, blah. Bookstores, those are private institutions. If I want to have a bookstore full of gay books, I should be allowed to. It shouldn't be banned by the government. And they can only be displayed wrapped in plastic, like they're, I don't know, sex magazines. The European Commission launched an infringement procedure in 2022. Yeah, banning books is a very risky, slippery slope. 16 EU countries and the European Parliament helped bring the case to the Court of Justice of the EU. Critics claim that the law adds to the homo and transphobic legal fabric built by Viktor Orban and his Fidesz party after more than a decade in power. Previous laws adopted in 2020 had banned same-sex couples from adopting children and eliminated legal recognition of transgendered people. Hungarian LGBTQ community says they feel singled out and openly talk about the fear the law causes them. Of course they're singled out. That's how you get people. Hey, you're very different. We're going to treat you that way.
That's right. That's how you eliminate people. You make them disappear. They don't matter.
Right, where was I? Yeah, the sculptor Gideon Horvath lives and works in Budapest. He mainly uses ceramics and beeswax to evoke the ambivalent duality of human nature in a plastic exploration of queer identities. One of his works was a victim of the controversial law, he says. It was exhibited for the first time in an open-air cultural space, but when it was later exhibited in a national museum, the official catalog and description removed all mention of its queer artistic significance. I had no choice but to accept this censorship because otherwise they would not have allowed me to exhibit, explains the artist. You have to choose your battles wisely. Censorship works in such a way that it is almost never a high authority that comes and says they can't do that. It's mainly cultural workers and artists who self-censor. 4 government offices, the ruling Fidesz party, and pro-government civil association rejected an interview or request. It is in its legal fight against the law, the European Commission cited violations of Article 2 of the Treaty of the Union and its principles on values of human dignity, fundamental rights, protection, equality, and solidarity. His approach is a clear sign of the significance of the case and its final ruling, says Esther Polgari, an expert in European human rights jurisprudence. The law violates our freedom of expression. It's also a kind of violation of freedom of association. Yeah, I can't associate with that guy because I'm going to get my rights restricted because I'm associated with a gay person, transgendered person. There's also a kind of violation of freedom of association. Probably the most important violation from a human perspective is the right of children to have access to objective, scientifically proven, and correct information. Because now they are deprived of the possibility of receiving information in an organized environment, for example in schools, and they will depend on the internet, which is not the most reliable source of information when it comes to sexuality, sexual orientation, and gender identity, explains the lawyer. Yeah, any person who comes from a state in the United States where they had these kind of restrictions can tell you all the crazy stories they had to learn through the internet, watching YouTubers and stuff to find out stuff your sex education should have been telling you. The European Commission has recommended the EU funds for Hungary remain frozen due to violations of the rule of law principles. The final ruling of the Court of Justice of the European Union is not expected for months. Yeah, they're going to do a lot of back and forth until they figure out what they're going to slam Hungary with, because Hungary is indeed in violation. They're guilty, but they have to discover what the guilt entails. It's not a criminal court or anything. They're not going to go to put the whole country into prison. But here's my story.
Okay, nice story. I got my personal story about the battery story, though, which is, you remember when we lived in Oklahoma and I worked at the bomb factory?
Yeah.
And the bomb factory had, you could not jumpstart your car. This is about batteries. Because batteries are dangerous. So, like the bomb factory, I went out to jumpstart my car, and a guy goes, "No, you can't jumpstart your car. You got to call the fire department." What? So, yeah, the fire department sends out 2 fire engines.
Wow.
4 firefighters to jumpstart 1 car.
Because if an explosion happens at the bomb factory. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole place could go up if an explosion happens at the bomb factory. So they got to nip it in the bud. Anyway, even though the bomb factory is mostly outdoors, right? Because you can't trap all them chemicals indoors. Anyway,
I don't think it's a bomb factory. Amelin's asking there's a bomb factory in Oklahoma. It's not actually a bomb factory. It's actually a disposal base.
No, it's a bomb factory. It is a bomb factory.
Okay.
They make bombs there. They make the MOAB, the mother of all bombs. It's the only bomb factory in America. And
yeah, there you go.
they have to blow them up. New, the reason they have to blow them up every day at 11 o'clock is because they get old and they get volatile and they'll explode on their own if they don't blow them up. So every single day at 11 o'clock for 20 minutes, 20 seconds apart, there's explosions in this. You heard them in town.
Yeah.
They're really loud. They shake the windows. Anyway, that's my personal story. Not about specifically batteries, but what you had to do to get a jump start.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Pretty crazy.
Now spin the wheel.
All right, let's spin our wheel. The only bomb factory in the United States, in Oklahoma. All right, I have accurate metaphor and simile, and on to your story. Yay!
We'll cheer afterwards if it's any good. I'm going to start using these buttons more. Liven up the show. The new improved show.
Yeah.
And our story today, we're going back to China. This is from Andrew Paul from popsci.com. It says China's testing their fastest high-speed train. In fact, the world's fastest train. Japan's high-speed bullet trains are famous for speeding across the country, but China wants to set a new world record for the fastest electric passenger rail. Prototype tests are reportedly underway for the nation's upcoming line of CR450 trains, and according to the Ministry of Transport, they already can reach top speeds as fast as 280 miles per hour, 81 miles per hour. Put that into reference, it's about half as fast as a passenger jet can go. So you can zoom across China without having to go in the air. And you don't have to wait for a taxi into the runway, into the gate. And you don't have to wait for your luggage and all that crap. You're just there and you're gone and you get off and you're there. Anyway, the CR450 is the latest in China's line of Fuxing or rejuvenation electric trains. It is expected to run around 248.5 miles per hour, surpassing the current CR400 train's 217 miles per hour operational speed. Why they're not putting it in kilometers, I don't know. This is China. They use a metric system. Anyway,
because you won't understand it. You'll be like, what does that mean?
This is Rolling Stone, Real Science magazine or whatever, and they don't care. They don't care about your stinking kilometers. Anyway, for comparison, Japan's Shinkansen electric trains typically max out at 186 per hour, which is way slower than 281. And while a modified version of France's train Grande Vitesse TGV maintains the world record for the fastest wheeled train at 357 miles per hour. That's crazy. That's a wheeled train.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah, so its standard version zips along at only 200 miles per hour. So the 8-car CR450 designed relies on what's known as water-cooled advanced permanent magnet synchronous motor, or PMSM system that allows at least 3% increase in energy conversion efficiency compared to previous models. Like all of China's other passenger rails, the trains will receive power through the country's network of 25 kilovolt, 50 hertz AC overhead catenary lines. They will also feature a catenary, that's what it says. They will also feature a storage battery array, more about batteries, capable of providing the CR450 with 110 volts DC power source. Each train houses over 4,000 sensors to monitor all the crucial moving parts, including its fire detection systems, car body, emergency braking, and pantograph, the roof-mounted device that converts electricity from catenary line to the train itself. That's what that line is called. It's called the catenary line. Did you know that? Anyway, I did not know that. You learn something every day. This is an educational show. A video provided by CCTV offers glimpses into the new CR450 design, but no clear shots of it reaching the speeds expected. Instead, the clip mostly focuses on ongoing weight control work, which is important to ensure the train's overall mass won't cause any structural problems while in transit. While reducing the weight, we must ensure that its strength does not decrease, and we even need to increase its strength because of the higher speed. Chen Kan, an associate researcher at the China Academy of Railway Sciences, or CARS, interesting acronym, CARS, Locomotive and Vehicle Research Institute, explaining the video. It's just like a person who wants to slim down while building strength. This involves structural changes and material innovations. As interesting engineering noted, the CR450 prototypes have so far passed static and low-speed dynamic tests for noise control, braking, and traction, with developers hoping to increase speeds over successive trail phases. The CR450 is expected to be delivered to China Railway by the end of the year, with a second line slated for 27 that will run the 181 miles between the cities of Chengdu and Chongqing in under 50 minutes. So you're just flying across the landscape. There's your story about the trains. And from the ground, we're going to move up to the sky, because tonight is the night. Tonight is the Planetary lineup. If you're lucky enough to have clear view of the sky tonight, 7 planets will appear to align in the night sky in the last day today, and it's what's known as the Planetary Parade. This is from theguardian.com. We talked about this last month because there was a 6-month lineup. Last month, a 6-planet lineup last month, but now Mercury's joining the parade. That's right. A planetary parade is a moment when multiple planets are visible at the sky at the same time, said Dr. Greg Brown, an astronomer at the Royal Observatory in Greenwich, told PA Media. How impressive a parade is will depend on how many planets are in it and how visible they are. This week, all 7 planets that we are not part of, I mean, we're the 8th, there's 8 planets, not 9. Sorry, Pluto. This week, all 7 planets are technically visible in the sky at once, though they are all not equally easy to spot. Mercury, Neptune, and Saturn are very close to this horizon in the early evening, and particularly in the case of Neptune and Saturn, will struggle to be seen in the twilight, Brown said. In addition, Uranus, like Neptune, is very faint, making it almost impossible to find without a pair of binoculars or a telescope. Venus, Jupiter, and Mars, however, are all very easy to see with an unaided eye. Very easy to see, and Mars is easy to spot because it's red. A parade of 4 or 5 planets visible to the naked eye happens every few years, according to NASA. Groups of 3 or 4, even 5 planets being visible aren't uncommon, regularly appearing throughout each year, Brown said, but more planets are involved, the more things you need to be aligned to be visible at once. Well, that makes perfect sense. This makes a full 7-planet parades very rare. The 7 planets will next align in 2040, so it'll be 15 years before you can look up at the sky and go, let's figure out which planet's which. A similar parade took place last June, but only 2 planets could be seen without any special equipment. 6 planets were visible in January for a naked eye, and now the dim Mercury joins the gang. How would you like to be known as dim Mercury? Anyway, I'm just Mercury, I'm dim. This month, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter are visible to the naked eye. A faint Saturn and Mercury are close to the horizon, making them hard to spot. And Uranus and Neptune can be glimpsed with binoculars and telescopes. We just reviewed the same thing I just said. Planetary, just said it in a different way. Planetary alignments occur because the planet of the solar system orbit the sun within roughly the same plane, known as the elliptical plane. Dr. Shyam Balaji, a researcher at the Astroparticle Physics and Cosmology at King's College in London, said, as they orbit at different speeds and distances from the sun, there are moments when they appear to line up from Earth's perspective. Balaji said the best time to see the alignment in the UK was 28 February, shortly after sunset, which of course you can't see the stars and the planets when the sun is up. So the same is true in Australia, where stargazers should look north after sunset. In the US, with experts suggesting those hoping to see the celestial show should head out about 30 minutes after sunset and stay away from bright lights. Stargazing apps can help people
right before sunset. Just put on like your face cap, the thing when you go to bed. You put that up. Put a timer. Ding, ding, ding. Okay, the sun's gone down. Look straight at the sky.
They just right.
No, I know they mean like just don't stare into a light before looking in the sky, but it is funny to think of stay away from bright lights all day so you can see the.
Well, no, they're just saying don't try to look at the stars while you look through street lights.
Yeah, exactly.
That's basically what they're saying. You go in the country or get above the street lights. That would be the best way. Stargazing apps can help people find out where to look just after sunset around the world. Stargazing apps will tell you exactly where the planets are.
Yeah, very cool.
To find the planets with a telescope, look for moon shapes, Brown said. Using a telescope, try looking for the moons of Jupiter or the shape of the illuminated part of Venus' surface like a tiny crescent moon. The planets will slowly make their exit through spring. There's your story about the planets. Your story about Chinese trains. Got it.
Yeah, that story about the trains is similar to like a story we were talking about yesterday, right? And I also have a story about trains, but grease trains. But, I was talking about how we need to increase the speed of trains in the United States. And you're like, you can't put coal on that kind of train.
Not coal. I was talking about fuel oil and hazardous chemicals. Anyway, go ahead.
My metaphor for the planet alignment is it's like we're going to be a big world stage for it. Because, people are going to be sitting on Earth looking up like it's a world stage. There you go. I shouldn't have to explain my joke. Anyways.
There's your applause. All right, spins the freaking wheel. Spins the wheel.
You're going to put limerick on this wheel like 20 times and be like, finally I got a limerick. Speaking of which, you did get a limerick. So
a limerick. All right, it better be a story with a lot of rhymings, because I got to get a pencil on.
All right, my story is coming off of Eurocitive, and it's about the train accident that could break Greece's government. This is from Sorantis Michaelopoulos. Hundreds of thousands of Greeks are expected to take to the streets across the country and abroad today, accusing the center-right government of covering up key details about a deadly 2023 train crash in central Greece that killed 57 people and mostly young people. I think we even covered that on the show because that was 2 years ago. Definitely doing the show 2 years ago. Recent polls show that 7 out of 10 Greeks believe that the new ruling democracy government is shielding the politicians responsible for the tragedy. The government in Athens denies the accusations. Yet a number of central questions surrounding the tragedy still remain unanswered, including whether the freight train involved was transporting illegal fuel that caused a massive explosion. Reminder, this killed 57 people. 8 days before the 28th of February 2023 crash in Tempe, the Transport Minister Kostas Karamanlis dismissed the opposition's concern over railway safety. It's embarrassing. I'm ashamed that they're raising security issues, he said. By March 2nd, Karamanlis was out, resigning and taking political responsibility. Contrary to safety protocols, the crash site was cleared on the 4th of March, destroying critical evidence. Uh-oh, I smell corruption. The local prosecutor denied giving such an order, which could only have come from the government. It's like, who told you to clear this place? You know, Tom from the Bureau of Transport. Who the hell is Tom? The victims' relatives accused the government of staging a cover-up. Several videos showed a huge explosion during the crash, raising suspicions that the freight train was transporting illegal flammable substances. No video footage available at the time to show whether that was true. Yet again, 57 people died from this. The government dismisses the claims of conspiracy theories. The New Democracy majority found no criminal responsibility for any politician after a parliamentary investigation committee set up by the government. I love internal investigations run by an internal source. Those are never messed up. The slow progress, it should be by an individual, like, I don't know, the International Train Federation should have been there. The slow progress of Justice Ministry investigation has provoked outrage among the victims' families. They formed the Victims Relative Association, VRA, led by pediatrician Maria Karianstinou, who lost her daughter in the accident. The European Commission identified the lack of a permanent, independent railway accident investigation body in Greece since 2019 as a violation of EU law. So even the EU was like, you guys need to investigate your train stuff by an independent accident investigation, not internal. Yet no action was taken against Athens. Before the accident, EU public prosecutor Laura Kövesi had launched an investigation into the EU-funded contract signed in 2014 for the reconstruction and upgrade of the signaling system and remote control on Greek trains. Experts have suggested that the accident could have been avoided if these systems had been in place. So the EU, I think, has a little bit of responsibility over this because they identified the lack of the investigative body and they didn't do anything to enforcement. They just said, hey, have you noticed you're missing like a dude here? Yeah. Well, anyways, let's move on to fixing your economy. I don't know. In March 2027, Kövesi said the Greek authorities are placing obstacles before her investigations. Following her request, 23 non-political people were prosecuted. She also calls for prosecution of Transport Minister Karamanlis, but the immunity provided by the country's constitution prevented it. Karamanlis was elected as an MP again last year, resigned and then elected again. Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis attacked Kövesi, saying she had exceeded the limit of her competence. Wow. Freaking... What about your competence? You let 57 people die in a train. Okay. Yeah, it's probably not his fault. The prime minister probably wasn't responsible. He could have had like a independent investigative body though to regulate his train companies. I guess that's his problem. In August 2025, Eurocitiv exclusively reported that Greece had asked for the EU transport portfolio in the new Commission's following elections 2 months earlier. Ursula von der Leyen ultimately granted Greece's Apostolos Tsikikostas the transport portfolio. Before Tsikikostas' hearing in the EU House, Karianstinou sent an email to von der Leyen, who had so far said nothing about the case, and EU Parliament Chief Roberta Metsola warning that the Greek government has covered up for those responsible for the train crash. She never got a response. The EU is not answering her calls either. In December, the European Commission launched an infringement procedure against the Greek government, requesting explanations for its continued failure to comply with railway safety standards. The procedure was signed by Tsikikostas himself. On the 5th of February, the EU left group asked for Tsikikostas to appear in the plenary of the EU Parliament to discuss Greek train safety. At the conference of the political group's presidents, the EPP, the EU Socialists, the far-right Patriots, the Europe of Sovereign Nations rejected it. Now, we don't need to talk about Greek train safety. It's fine. It's not important. Only 57 people died. A new request was again rejected. On the 7th of February, the European Parliament passed a resolution expressing its concerns about Greece's rule of law, citing the Tempe tragedy as an example. Meanwhile, the ad hoc Greek investigating body on Thursday, which was yesterday's 27th of February, confirmed that the train engines could not justify the explosion and did not rule out the existence of a still unknown fuel. And I'm guessing it wasn't on the transcript or the manifest, because it's illegal. Whatever they were transporting wasn't even on the manifest. Referring to a recent
What
commission
the hell?
infringement procedure against the Greek government, Claudia Staniau told Eurosativ that the Relatives Association has been pushing since 2023 of the event in the EU Parliament to get the Commission's DG moved to look into possible EU violations in Greece's rail networks. The ad hoc investigating body inside Greece is not independent. It is supervised by Transport Ministry, and its members are appointed by the Minister without objective criteria, which affects its independence, Claudia Staniau said. Asked by Eurosativ whether the EU Commission currently guarantees the safety of Greek railways, the EU spokesperson Anna Kaisa Inkonen replied on Thursday that the executive was actively addressing key shortcomings in Greece's railway system prior to the accident. So, from further until now, I mean, probably since 2020, before 2023 even, do not ride a Greek railway. They cannot guarantee its safety. And that's a terrible thing to have for not only, a European country, but a country that is supposedly part of the EU, that worked really hard to get into the EU, and they're not even following any of the regulations that they need to be running. Like, imagine you're traveling from the UK to Greece on trains. Like, not on Greece, take a bus. The Commission launched infringement proceeding against Greece in December 2021 for failing to establish a contractual agreement with the OSE, its rail infrastructure manager, she said. The agreement was essential to ensure adequate and stable funding, along with performance incentives, she said. She, by the way, is Anna Kaisai Itkonen, who is the EU spokesperson. Greece did not put such an agreement in place, leading us to refer to a case to Court of Justice, which ultimately compelled Greece to act, Itkonen said. We are now assessing whether the agreement between Greece and the OSCE meets the directive's requirements and adequately addresses all necessary aspects, she added. Zikostas has made it clear that safety continues to be one of the priorities of the Commission, the spokesperson said. The Commission also plans to propose a delegated act introducing an effective system for collecting and analyzing safety-relevant data coming from accidents and incidents in the railway sector, Itkonen said. We need to ensure that it is increasingly harmonized single European railway area. You should be able to travel from one part of the EU to the other part of the EU without worrying about one of them crashing and exploding. Safety-relevant information is easily shared between authorities and companies across borders, and that emerging risks are identified quickly and communicated without delay, she said. So, there is your news coming out of Greece and the EU about how the government is in big trouble right now, because they are, and maybe you should join in too if you have some free time today, to protest the complete disregard for train safety in Greece since, I guess, 2019, when they first were like, hey, what the hell, guys? What's going on with your train system? Anyways, so there's your news. I think I need to look up when this is. 28th of February, crash of the Tempe, because I want to find our episode of it and maybe link back to that story. But there's my story.
All right, well, all right, well, back to limerick time.
Give me my limerick about train explosions.
There was a train crash in Greece. Now, wait. I'm gonna have to do this because I wrote it a while ago and I forgot what I wrote, and I don't spell very well. Pencil for some reason. There was a train crash in Greece. Now suspicions begin to increase that the government corrupt covered things up. Now the people will give them no peace.
As deserved. Don't give them peace. They don't deserve it.
Can you clap? Do I get a golf clap?
Oh yeah, you want me to play the clap sound? Oh, I need to find that. Here you go. You can clap for yourself.
I'll do it. I'll do it myself. All right. Spin your wheel. Oh no. That's not cool.
That's for myself for not having the clap ready.
Okay. All right, so we're spin a wheel, and we're going to talk about Roberta Flack. Hopefully it reminds you of a song.
All right, bad pun time.
Bad pun. Okay. Well, she lived a long life, so This isn't human tragedy other than, the circle of life. People die when they're 80, in their 80s. IrishTimes.com has the story of Roberta Flack obituary, a hit-making soul singer who was quiet when quiet was unfashionable. This is going to go for Mr. Caroline Sullivan. Roberta Flack's pensive version of Bridge Over Troubled Water from her 1971 debut, Quiet Fire, so impressed another rising star that he sent her a fan letter. Dear Roberta, wrote Elton John, I have never heard anything this beautiful in years. Flack, who has died at the age of 88, must have seemed both familiar and fascinatingly different to the young English songwriter. Like John, she was a classically trained pianist who had gravitated to pop, but she was a North Carolina born and had taught in high school before having her first hit at the age of 34. Her career was founded on her ability to sell a song using reticence and reserve, qualities that defined her from the very early smash singles. The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face and Killing Me Softly with his song, to her final album, a collection of Beatles covers released in 2012. Hit-making partnerships with singers Donny Hathaway and Peeble Bryson stayed in the same nuanced lane with few departures into drama or melisma. Even as R&B became more experimental in the 1970s, 80s, Flack burrowed deeper into a gentle musical conservatism. Bar the occasional flash of social consciousness, she was, in both artistry and manner, quiet when quiet was unfashionable. Her reward was a string of chart hits, 4 Grammy Awards, and the loyalty of America's adult contemporary radio stations. Her success on AC radio also opened up the white leading soft pop format to other African American artists. Flack sang as if romance were a subject deserving deep measured consideration, a style that complemented her voice. Clarity and perfect pitch were her distinguishing vocal features, developing in part by spending her adolescence listening to the soprano Leontine Price. If her love of opera did not set her apart enough from other teens in Arlington, Virginia, where she grew up, she was also a piano prodigy, winning a music scholarship to Howard University in Washington, D.C. when she was 15.
Wow, that is amazing.
Though influenced by jazz, R&B, and easy listening, Flack was not quite any of them. In NME's spot-on description, she created a middle ground between genteel promiscuity and stronger codes of heartbreak, always with the lamps down low. Her early albums were partly informed by the turbulence of the civil rights era. The 1969 track Trying Times was unabashed protest soul, but by primarily sticking to apolitical timelessness, she became one of the top female singers of the 1970s in any genre. Some critics, she won 2 Grammys in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Best song.
Lots
Some
of people
critics
win Grammys,
unfavorably-
but not a lot of people win them year after year.
Some critics unfavorably compared her to the more visceral contemporaries such as Aretha Franklin, which provoked the retort, I am a black person who sings the way I do. I'm not a black person who sounds anything like Aretha Franklin or Chaka Khan. I shouldn't have to change in order to be who I am. The comparisons were unfair anyway. Franklin's style had been forged in the Baptist church, whereas Flack had grown up as a restrained hymn-singing Methodist. That was especially evident in sporadic nods to her Southern church background, such as the bawdy 1970 single Reverend Lee. She could be muscular when required, but never to the point of full bodily immersion. The thoughtful approach served her well. The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face was a U.S. top-selling single in 1972 and won Record of the Year, not Song of the Year, Record of the Year to 73 Grammys. And in the 1974 Grammys, Killing Me Softly, a 5-week U.S. #1, took Record of the Year and Female Pop Vocal Performance. She was born in Asheville, North Carolina, one of 4 children of Lauren Flack, a tobacco picker, and Irene Council, a school cook. The family moved to Virginia when Roberta was 5, by which point she was already playing the piano. Practicing on an upright her father rescued from the local dump. By the age of 13, she was proficient enough to come in second in the statewide contest for black students. She was bright, finishing high school early and graduating from university at 19. with a degree in music education. For the next 7 years, she taught at the Washington school system. Your teacher is barely out of high school age and she's already teaching, right? Isn't that amazing?
That's how impressive. Yeah, that's impressive she was.
I mean, 19 and she's already a school teacher. For the next 7 years, she was taught at the Washington school system while developing a sideline as a pianist, singer, in local bars. In 1968, she was spotted by the jazz pianist Les McCann, who was so taken by her voice. I laughed, cried, and screamed for more, she said. Then he introduced her to Atlantic Records. Ooh, Atlantic Records. That would be Ahmet Erdogan and what's the other guy's name? Gary Wexler. I just pull these names out of my mind somehow. Anyway, Flack's jazzish, folkish early albums made a muted impact. Arguably, she owed her eventual success to the fact that Clint Eastwood paid her $2,000 in 1971 to use The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face in the film he was directing, Play Misty for Me. The song, from her 1962 debut First Take, had not previously been a single, but it was released when it proved one of the film's talking points. And it duly spent 6 weeks at number 1, 6 weeks, establishing Flack as a major artist. Her grip in the mid-1970s charts was strengthened by duets with Hathaway, in particular The Closer I Get to You and the Grammy-winning Where's the Love, which were among the best songs either artist ever made. In the early 1980s, when the hits had dried up, a series of duets with Bryson, notably Tonight I Celebrate My Love, which still gets played a lot. Tonight I Celebrate. I brought her back to the charts. When her last big seller was a synth soul double with Maxi Priest, Set the Night to Music, which reached the US top 10 in 1991. In the years that followed, Flack took the fail-safe route of many veteran vocalists, making Christmas albums and collections of pop and jazz standards. The hit swinging 1994 covers album Roberta received a Grammy nomination, but a likable and inventive Beatles collection, Let It Be, Roberta, sank, despite the endorsement of Yoko Ono, who is Flack's across-the-hall neighbor in the Dakota Apartments in New York. I did not know that either. It's amazing. Live right next to Yoko. I want you to live next to John before he died. She hosted a syndicated weekly music and chat show between 1995 and 1998, but is more fulfilled by making music than talking about it. The Fugees' highly successful 1996 cover of Killing Me Softly spurred Flack to release a remix version of her 1972 hits, which duly topped the U.S. dance charts. After suffering a stroke in 2016, she returned to recording in 2018 with the song Running, heard on the film 3100, Run and Become, a documentary about a 3,100-mile run held annually around the streets of New York. But in 2022, it was announced that Flack had been diagnosed with ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, known in Ireland as the motor neuron disease, which had made it impossible for her to sing. In 1966, Flack married the bassist Steve Novosel. This and a second marriage ended divorce. So there's your story. There's your story from the Irish Times, Turalura, where they, which I had to remember at the very end, this is Irish, and they're not going to call it Lou Gehrig's disease in Ireland. And we're like, who's Lou Gehrig? But there's your story.
Yeah, who the hell's that? I don't know who that is either.
Right. He's a baseball player, died of Lou Gehrig's disease. By coincidence. Anyway, it's a terrible joke. Anyway, where's your pun?
Well, you know how it is. The leprechauns always have gold intentions. There you go. It's not really a pun about her, but I didn't really want to make a pun about her. So we'll make a pun about Ireland's Ireland.
Disregard for Lou Gehrig.
Yeah. She deserves all the respect for sure. What an amazing life. An amazing person.
Right. And the fact that she graduated college at 19 and was already a school teacher, retired from school teaching at 26. What are you doing at 26? Were you 7 years in the teaching school? Not a lot of people.
I was stuck in a pandemic at 26. That's what I was doing at 26.
I don't mean you in particular. I meant the audience. I meant the audience. What are you doing when you were 26?
We're all doing the same thing I was, stuck in a pandemic.
Everybody's 26 at the
all
same.
our viewers are 26-year-olds, okay? Young.
They're all 30.
Springing
Everybody's 30 out there. Right on. Okay.
All right, let's roll
And the
another wheel here. Well, I hope this next story reminds you of a song.
All right. Okay. I got it.
I mean, I don't even know if you know any BTS songs, because that's what this article's about. This is from 7 hours ago. So during Japanese time, a Japanese woman has kissed BTS's Jin, and she's now under investigation for, I don't know, sexual harassment, I guess. Just because you like the guy doesn't mean you can just kiss him in public. It's still creepy, no matter if you're a woman or a man doing that. Japanese woman this is on BBC, by the way, sorry. A Japanese woman who unexpectedly kissed K-pop boy band BTS Jin at a fan event last year has found herself under investigation by the South Korean police. South Korean police have called for the woman, who is currently in Japan, to come forward for questioning on charges of sexual harassment in a public space. The incident happened during the K-pop idol's first public event in Seoul last June. So he was the first one to go into the military and the first one to leave the military. So he had a huge event in which he hugged 1,000 fans. You heard that correctly, hugging. Not make out, not kiss, just hug. That's what you signed up for when you got there. Of course, now this woman's probably going to be banned from any fan event ever, because that's what they can do. They can actually ban you. If you do anything wrong at these fan events, you're banned forever. You're never allowed in the area.
It's like a no-fly list, right?
Exactly, it's a no-fly list. Instead of just hugging the star, the woman appeared to have kissed his face, with Jin responding by turning his face away. Yes, everyone, I think the global answer to not wanting something is turning your face away. So she knew she fucked up right there. The kiss angered other BTS fans. They're called ARMY, excuse you, one of which filed a criminal complaint against her, leading police to launch an investigation. I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. Like, come on. Stop acting like you're a 3-year-old. You're an adult woman going to a fan event, and you're like, oh, what if I just kiss Jin? Nothing. That could be. He'd love that, wouldn't he? He loves being kissed by strangers. Just like you do, I'm sure. On the 13th of June, 2024, the day after he was discharged from the army, Jin, whose real name is Kim Seokjin, held a fan event where he hugged 1,000 fans and performed songs in front of 3,000 others. During the 3-hour-long hugathon, fans who won the chance to embrace him queued up and went on stage one by one to meet the 33-year-old star. Yeah, don't be fooled. He's 33. He doesn't look 33. Damn Koreans and their
19.
face care.
All right.
I think you still look pretty young, but I don't know. I have a biased perception of your face.
Compared to what?
I've just always seen your face, so I don't see it getting older like you would see it getting older, I guess. I don't know. Anyways,
never look at myself that much. Good.
One of the people in the hackathon caused an uproar when she appeared to kiss Jin's face. I don't want to call her a fan, because if you're a fan, you don't sexually harass someone. Clips of the movement went viral on the internet. Videos show that Jin, taken aback by the move, tried to turn his head while hugging the woman before quickly moving on to the next fan.
Fans short for fanatic.
Yeah, that's true. Fans could also been seen reacting angrily to her actions. Yeah, she's lucky she didn't get trampled on the way out of there. She later wrote on her blog later that she kissed him on his neck. The skin was very soft. That's not creepy whatsoever. The woman's identity has not been revealed. Well, she has a blog. Maybe it's not her real identity, but she has a blog. You can find her, okay?
Right.
They have not been revealed by the police, added that they had identified her with the assistance from their Japanese counterparts. The BBC has reached out to BTS's agency, HYBE, for comment. Jin is the first BTS member to have been discharged from military duty. He was followed by J-Hope, who is currently touring in Europe right now. He's having a show in Berlin in the summer as well, I think in July. So I'm not going to that because I'm poor. But if I was rich, not even if I was rich, if I had some money, I would go. I would get tickets. J-Hope was born 2 days before me on the 18th, 1994. So. The other four, V, RM, Jimin, Jungkook, and Suga, are all still serving, and the band is expected to reunite in June 2025. K-pop idols are known for having a close relationship with their fan base through various communication channels and events. It's common for artists to communicate with fans through social media, live stream chats, and in-person events to cultivate fans. You actually have to win a raffle to get into these things, right? You can sign up. I would like to go to the fan event. Here's all my details. You have to give them your ID. You know, it's a very... That's why I'm saying they can put this woman on the no-fly list. She's on the blacklist because they know she is. Right. She had to turn in her ID and all her information in order to get into it. You can also get in trouble for signing up as somebody else because you have to bring your ID to the event. So if I signed up for you and then, you know, I won, you would have to go as me and it would not work, right? It wouldn't work.
Right.
Fans have increasingly been aware of some toxic fan cultures as well. For example, many artists have been vocal about the stress caused by sasang fans, which sasang is basically these obsessed, fanatical people who are obsessed with their idols and will stalk and harass them. And by stalk and harass, I mean they will go to wherever you are in public, put their phone in your face and film you, like not ask you questions or talk to you. Maybe they'll yell your name, but they'll follow you and just put their phone in your face. It's very bizarre. But there's your story, your culture news on people being weird to celebrities because the parasocial environment is just too strong. And as a fan, I do want to say I do believe people like BTS do love their fans, right? In like a very, you know, I wouldn't be here without you, I appreciate your support kind of way. But too many people are delulu, as we say in the K-pop fan. They're delusional. Yeah. They truly believe if I meet Jin one day, he will see me and he will marry me. You know, he doesn't know who the hell you are. Okay, nobody's gonna marry a random person. This isn't a K-pop Korean drama, right? No one's gonna marry you because they see you walking down the street.
Right. We've done stories about people getting catfished by fake celebrities.
Yeah, we did the Brad Pitt story in Brazil. Yeah. Let me tell you this now. Unless you actually have a genuine conversation with a member or a celebrity and you meet them in a neutral area, not at the Oscars, you know, not at some sort of event, just like as a person, then they're real, okay? If you meet them on the internet and they're telling you they're Brad Pitt, they're not real, okay? It's not real. You're being bamboozled. Get out of your delusion. See a therapist for your whatever that is. That reminds me of the song.
That reminds me of the song? Well, the first song I was reminded of, because your kiss is on my list. Your kiss. And then
I think it probably was. BTS. I may have been banned and I got arrested and went to prison, but at least I kissed Jin on the neck.
Although your thing about the BTS Army made me think of Seven Nation Army.
Yeah, but, of course, from yesterday as well.
But anyway, that's enough songs. Where's my golf clap?
Where's your golf clap? Here you go. Crowd cheer.
Thank you. This day, spin it again for this day in history.
Yeah, let's get our final segue out here. What we need is a sound for this. I can make one. I just need to remember to do it. I have to write a limerick about all the stuff in this day in history. So let's go. It's going to be a 20-line limerick.
No, it can only be 5. We can just do it.
No, well, you can make multiple 5-line limericks, and then it's a long limerick of just a whole story. You know.
Yeah. Are we going to do that?
I can do it. You're going to have to sit and listen to it is the problem.
I can go to sleep. And okay, this day in history, we are back to the year 1827. The Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, the B&O, became the first steam-operated railway in the United States to be charted as a common carrier of freight and passengers. Of course, the B&O Canal was one of the first canals for pulling things through the water from place to place. So 1827, the B&O Railroad was chartered. I don't know if it started running passengers or whatever freight, but it was chartered at least on this day in 1827. Railroads have been around for almost 200 years. Isn't that amazing? In 1901, American chemist Linus Pauling, who received 2 Nobel Prizes, one for chemistry in 1954 and another for peace in 1962, imagine that, was born. So happy birthday to a rare 2-time Nobel Prize winner. And a lot of 2-time winners like Marie Curie won it in the same field. This guy won it in 2 different fields, chemistry and peace. 1906, American gangster Bugsy Siegel was born in New York, as Britannica does not want us to lose track of criminals' birthdays for some reason. In 1922, Egypt was declared an independent country in 1922. After, I don't know, I thought it was an independent country 5,000 years ago. What happened? Anyway. In 1931, American basketball coach Dean Smith, who is one of the most successful basketball coaches in college history, is born in Kansas. Happy birthday to Dean Smith.
We're not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah, I gotta slow down so you can write that limerick. Yep. Dean Smith, who was the dean of basketball coaches for a while because he had the most victories. In 1942, during World War II, Japanese troops landed on the island of Java, which they occupied until 1945. Java, do the Java jive. In 1947, a day after a vendor was assaulted by a government agent in Taipei, protests against the ruling Kuomintang, or the KMT, spread across Taiwan, known as the 228 incident. The uprising was violently suppressed, resulting in thousands dead and decades of martial law. Just something you never read about in the history books.
Yeah, that's crazy.
In 1983, the final episode of the immensely popular TV series MASH aired and was watched by an estimated 106 million viewers. In 1991, the Persian Gulf War, an international conflict, was triggered by Iraq's invasion of Kuwait, ended as Iraq leader Saddam Hussein accepted a ceasefire agreement and said, okay, you can have Kuwait back. 2013, Benedict the 16th became the first pope to resign since Gregory the 12th in 1415. The current pope is apparently going to pass away any day now. Very, very sick. All right, our featured event in 1986, Olof Palme was assassinated. Olof Palme, the internationally prominent Prime Minister of Sweden from 1967 to 76, and again 82 to 86, whose strong pacifist beliefs included opposition to the Vietnam War, was assassinated in Stockholm in 1986. So that was terrible, at least for him and his family. He was a pacifist. Why are we killing pacifists? I have no fucking idea. People are stupid. Our feature biography, Franco Gehry, Canadian-American architect, and it's got a picture of something he built, and oh my God, I don't even know what the hell it is. Anyway, he was born February 28th, 1929. He's 95 today. Woohoo, 95 for an old architect. I hope he's still around. Our other featured birthdays, Linus Pauling, American scientist, born in 1901. Svetlana Alliluyeva, Russian writer, born in 1926, so it's her 99th birthday. 1929 is the birthday of Frank Gehry, Canadian-American architect. We just did that. Paul Krugman, American economist and Nobel Prize winner. Paul Krugman, born in 1953. So Paul Krugman, turning 72 today. Long live Paul Krugman. And our National Day calendar is kind of full. Other than National Public Sleeping Day, it's National Chocolate Souffle Day.
Hell yeah, let's souffle that chocolate.
And after you're done ruining your teeth with chocolate souffle, it's National Tooth Fairy Day. And it's National Floral Design Day, so you can put up some flowers for the Tooth Fairy and say, look, I got more than just teeth.
And then she's going to sneeze because she's allergic to flowers.
She's going to sneeze and all of her bag full of teeth is just going to fly all over your room. You can put them all in your mouth. It's National Skip the Straw Day. And that means, I guess, don't have a straw in your drink. Just pour that stuff right all over your shirt. And a rare disease. Rare Disease Day, USA. We talked about ALS earlier, so that's a rare disease. So there you go. There's your rare diseases. Also, today is Economic Blackout Day in America. We are not going to shop at any. If we have to buy anything at all, we're gonna buy it locally. We're not going to McDonald's.
Go to your farmer's market.
Target. Any company that has gotten rid of their DEI initiatives, we're getting rid of them as places we shop. Places like Target, it used to be progressive. They got attacked for being a progressive, decided, oh no, we're not really progressive. We're going to get rid of our fairness and hiring practices and only hire white people, whether they're qualified or not. So yeah, it's Economic Blackout Day, and this is just the first of many planned, and they're going to get bigger and bigger. So let's try to crash some capitalists. And those are your days. That's everything for February 28th, 2025. All the nonsense for this week, all the catching up in our news dump for February 28th, 2025 on Before Chocolate Souffle.
Yeah, and don't buy anything today. All right, you ready for this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different limericks? Here we go. In 1826, a train did chug, first steam-powered with wheels and a hug. Through Egypt's land free, regaining liberty, independence won for all to plug. On this day in 1952, a country's freedom shone right through. Egypt broke away from Britain's sway and celebrated with joy anew. But then came a darker day in 1984's dismay. The 22/8 incident caused quite a wait. Martial law fell like night's gray. Taiwan suffered, its people oppressed. Their voices silenced, their rights repressed. The government tight held control with all its might, as freedoms were reduced and hope depressed. 2013, a different tale. Benedict XVI resigned without fail. Hope no more, he stepped down to the floor. A historic move that made hearts set sail. I guess the people were happy about it? Okay. His papacy ended.
Yeah, he was kind of a Nazi when he was a kid, so yeah.
His papacy ended, a new path unwinds. Francis took over with heart and mind. The church did shift with a new shepherd's lift, and hopes rose high for peace of kind. So there you go, your This Day in History 6-line limerick, or 6 stanzas, I guess they're called stanzas. And thank you very much. This has been Allison here from the Netherlands. Okay, that's a lot of work. And this has been Roger from the West Coast United States as we tie off another week of news and go on to that weekend where you don't have to worry about it. We will tell you anything you need to know on Monday, so don't worry about anything. Go have a good weekend and make sure you're subscribed for Mucking Fun Days a segment, I guess, next week, and have the notification bell turned on so you're notified when we go live. And without further ado, let's listen to the real speech that I blundered through yesterday for our mic drop moment. I blundered through it. Let's get inspired to win the regional championship.
That's right. Gene Hackman, who was good in every movie he was in. Even if he just played a bad guy, a good guy.
There's a tradition in tournament play. Not talk about the next step until you've climbed the one in front of you. I'm sure going to the state finals is beyond your wildest dreams, so let's just keep it right there.
He delivers it just like a coach.
Size of the school.
That guy looks like he's 27.
And remember what got you.
That guy looks younger.
Focus on the fundamentals.
Oh, he does too.
Over time and time again.
He does.
And most important, don't get caught up thinking about winning or losing this game. If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game, in my book, we're going to be winners.
Hell yeah.
Okay?
This blow clap. Classic.
Yeah.
That guy's 50. What was the guy in the back?
Let's go!
Yeah.
What? Well, let's go win the chat. Or not win. I don't know the... Let's not
They
spoil
eventually-
it. Go watch the film. Let's not spoil it. Go watch the film and find out if they won.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.